And I am back. This is the final edition of my top 10, or top 25 rather, worst WCW pay-per-views of all time. Did honorable mentions plus 25 through 17, 16 through 9 on the other one. So why not do 8 through 1? And again, this is my opinion. This is how I rank them. Sure, okay, I could always revisit this in a year and I could rank them a little differently, because sometimes I might see something a little differently. You know, I might see, oh wait, this pay-per-view, even though it was bad, this one was a little worse, but I'm not going to revisit it because WCW, dead and buried, sadly. I really wish the company had been able to go on another 5-6 years. It really would have been awesome. But whatever. I get to live vicariously through TNA for a few years before they botched all that by bringing Hogan and Bischoff in. Well, Hogan mainly, since I have a very hard time believing that Bischoff ruined it as much as Hogan did, since Hogan was on TV way more. Anyway, now on to the top 8, so 8 through 1 on my worst WCW pay-per-views of all time. Number 8, Halloween Havoc 1995. The fucking Yeti. That's it. Or the Yeti. You know, it's Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone blocked me. I don't really care how much I knock him. But that's what he said. Now, to be honest, nobody, it doesn't matter who you brought in, could have called that and made it good. Hogan and the Giant had a monster truck sumo match on top of the Joe Louis Arena, or somewhere, and were battling, and it was like trucks that were locked together, and Hogan pushed Giant's truck out of the circle, and then they were fighting. Giant got up on part of the building and fell off the roof, obviously onto a pad right below. I mean, I don't know how the structure of the Joe Louis Arena is, but of course he fell somewhere, like right below onto a pad. Anyway, then, so he's supposed to have fallen into the water right by the Joe Louis Arena, or somewhere. You know, a little bit after Hogan in his black attire without his goatee, because he was battling the Dungeon of Doom. He's like, I didn't want the Giant to take the plunge, this kind of stuff. Dungeon of Doom music hits. Giant, no water, no nothing or whatever, seems fine, comes out. And it's a limp match with Hogan with 1980s offense and everything just not working. And then you have the debut of the Yeti, which is not the furry creature, not a guy in fur, not even attempting to do that. No, he was a mummy. Why the fuck he was a mummy, I don't know. It was the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was absolutely fucking dreadful. It was one of the things that pissed me off in wrestling. I believe I covered that. That's a cheap plug, since I did a long-running series of times in wrestling that pissed me off. I swear I did 21 parts. That was fun. I probably have more parts to do for that. But who knows? I'll have to have people suggest stuff like that to me sometime. And maybe I'll just cover stuff and redo it. But anyway, Halloween Havoc 1995 was just dreadful, and the whole Yeti thing was just bad. And Giant, despite winning by DQ, because Jimmy Hart, who was Hogan's manager, leveled the referee, the Giant walks out with the title. Now, WCW, under NWA rules, you could win the title by DQ sometimes, if they wanted to implement that rule. But WCW was away from the NWA at this time. So why in the world was the Giant walking out as a champion? Okay, whatever, doesn't matter, whatever. Then they held the title up, and then it got to a confusing mess. But yeah, Halloween Havoc 95 was shit. By the way, the reason I have not put any of the World War III pay-per-views on here is because usually the undercard was at least good enough, even if the 60-man Battle Royal was not that good. The undercard was good enough that I at least could, I could see not putting them on the worst 25 pay-per-views on this list. So anyway, Halloween Havoc 1999 is going to be the next one that I do. And why am I going to put this one on there? Oh yeah, because they tried to have Hogan, red and yellow Hogan or whatever, against a cheating Sting. They tried to do this at Super Brawl, which is another pay-per-view I'm going to talk about. They basically did this and it was absolute shit. Halloween Havoc 99 was just bad. It was bad all around. It was not any good. It was the first pay-per-view under the Russo regime. It was just really, really bad. It was just dreadful. It was badly paced. Just nothing good about it. And they had lost so much control of the company. No one knew what the hell they were doing. I mean, it's like just any pacing for this was just bad. Like Halloween Havoc 1999 was just really, really bad. And then now, Super Brawl 2000, where, again, just as I mentioned before, they tried having Hogan versus Sting, and they tried having a whole thing where it's like, okay, they wanted Hogan to get cheered. And actually, that was Super Brawl 99, so I apologize for that. But that was a bad pay-per-view also. Super Brawl 2000 was actually, oh, I remember. You had, again, Flair. You had Flair on the card. You also had, I believe, Scott Hall in his final pay-per-view match, which was just bad. You had Hogan versus Luger, which was really bad. I mean, that was just utter shit. I didn't understand why they did that. The pacing of that pay-per-view is really off, because that was right after Benoit, Malenko, Guerrero, and Saturn left. So those guys, even though they were just 4 guys, they were a good backbone of that company. And they had Unmasked Rey Mysterio, which didn't work. I mean, he'd been unmasked for nearly a year by that point. But just Super Brawl 2000 was just really badly done. And was just, my God, it was shit. I mean, you had Crazy David Flair and Crowbar. And Crowbar wasn't a bad talent. Daphne, who was a really hot gothic chick. But a lot of it was just bad. It was just really bad television, pay-per-view, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then, so Starrcade 1990. Now, this was the Pat O'Connor Memorial Tag Team Tournament, or at least I believe that's what it was. I can't remember the exact name. But okay, you had teams from various countries who could have been really, really good talents and everything. And you also had Sting versus the Black Scorpion, the blow-off angle, where the Black Scorpion ended up being Ric Flair. Sure, whatever. I think the Black Scorpion originally was supposed to be somebody else, but that person didn't want to do business, so they ended up plopping Ric Flair in that storyline, if I remember right. It depends really on what you want to believe. I think it was always supposed to be Ric Flair, and they just wrote the angle like shit. But Starrcade 1990 was just really bad because the tag team matches had no pacing to them. None. Just none. The average fan didn't have a clue who a lot of these talents were from other countries. It was just really bad. It was really bad television, or pay-per-view, or whatever you want to call it. And they even had Luger versus Stan Hansen for the U.S. title, which wasn't any good. It wasn't much better than their Halloween Havoc 1990 match, where Stan Hansen won the title, shockingly. But that was bad. And then the main event you had were the unmasking of the Black Scorpion. It was just bad. It was just such shit. We're like, what? What is it? Why is the Black Scorpion Ric Flair? It doesn't make any sense. Even though Flair and Sting had a good series of battles for a while. But then I believe, if I remember right, Sting was the champion at the time and then had to lose the title because he had a knee injury. Or he lost the title because of something and then was going to win it back eventually. I mean, I don't remember. But the whole thing is, Starrcade 1990 was just shit. It was just really, really bad. Now we go to Starrcade 1999, which, by the way, featuring Sting versus Lex Luger in a match where, oh yeah, there's no way Elizabeth is going to turn on Sting. Oh wait, that's exactly what she was going to do. Sting knew it, and yet Sting still lost the match. And then the rest of the pay-per-view wasn't all that great. And then you had the finals of the or not the finals of a WCW title tournament, but a rematch of it, where Goldberg was going to face Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the champion, or they held the title up, or whatever, something like that. I don't remember. It just had it where Goldberg ended up hitting Bret with a mule kick. The whole title picture was just really confusing by that point. You had Goldberg with his misplaced mule kick, and he gave Bret a severe concussion. You could tell Bret was holding his head before, so I think the mule kick just made it worse, because I think he got a concussion or a head injury before, but he really was just not well. I mean, it's like nobody would be after concussion, but it was severe. They still had Bret wrestle because it was undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, because they didn't know as much about concussions back in 1999 as they do now, even as much as they would in 2009. It was really, really bad, and Bret's career unfortunately ended in a not very good match with Goldberg. And then Goldberg was subsequently ended any chance of him being taken as any credible threat in WCW by injuring his arm and being stupid by bashing his arm through a limousine window. Instead of just bashing it through a couple of the windows that were rigged to break, he'd smash it. He continues to thump the glass, severs tendons in his arm, and you can see blood. It's on WCW Thunder. I forget which one. I mean, hopefully they put it all up in the network, even though Thunder was a hard show to watch. Goldberg's like bleeding on the hood. It was just bad. It was just really, really bad. But Starrcade 1999 started with a whimper, ended on a whimper. And I think this one even had DDP versus David Flair with like a crowbar on a pole. I mean, if it wasn't at Mayhem, I think it was here. All I remember is that match was shit too. DDP got put in a lot of crap, and David Flair was fucking horrible in the ring and should have never been allowed in the ring. And now we go on to New Blood Rising 2000. Judy Bagwell on a fucking forklift. Enough said. Judy Bagwell on a forklift. I mean, Buff Bagwell trying to be made the face in this whole thing. I never cared for Buff Bagwell anyway, but it was just shit. It was absolute crap. That was bad. It was just terrible. And the whole idea wasn't any good anyway. The pay-per-view was not any good. I mean, Lance Storm had a decent run going by this point, but he was really one of the few bright spots. They had, I think, a ladder match between the Young Dragons and 3 count, if I remember right. It was a gold record and a recording contract. I think it was that. I might be confusing that with the Nitro ladder match. There were a lot of ladder matches they had, and they all mixed together. Some of them were good. They really had stupid gimmicks, but whatever. New Blood Rising 2000, bottom line, was just shit. It was just really shitty. And the Judy Bagwell on the forklift match was just the icing on top of the shit cake. And then Bash at the Beach 2000. And of course, this one had to make it near the top. Because Hogan, using his creative control for the first time... Fuck off. Fuck off, Hogan. I know you use that creative control other times. I mean, that's just my opinion, of course. There is no way that Hogan did not use his creative control before that. Because there should have been no reason why he was champion in 99, 98, probably even 97. But whatever. I mean, 97 led to a great match with Sting. Well, it should have been a great match, but it wasn't. Because of the whole debacle at Starrcade 97. Anyway, so Bash at the Beach 2000. Hogan felt the saving grace was for him to beat Jeff Jarrett. Who Jeff Jarrett never was really much of a world champion anyway, no matter how much he tried to be in TNA. He was never much of a world champion, but at least he would have been a better choice for a world champion at this point, because at least he was a fresher face in WCW. Well, Vince Russo, Bischoff, Hogan, and Jarrett and whatever fought back and forth. Jeff Jarrett lays down. Hogan didn't want to do that, but covers him anyway. Cuts a promo on Russo saying that's why this company's in a damn shape it's in because of bullshit like this. Russo comes out, cuts a scathing promo. I mean, which, you know, I'm going to paraphrase it or whatever, but basically he knocks Hogan and says, I swear, or else I'll go in the goddamn grave. You will never see that piece of shit here again. Major fallout from that. I mean, Booker T did beat Jeff Jarrett after wrestling a match previously. So yeah, Booker became he got his first world title win. That was a few months before the company closed down, and somehow ended up as a 5-time champion, which showed how often the title changed hands. But yeah, Bash at the Beach 2000. I mean, that alone was bad enough. I mean, not Booker winning the title, that was great, but just what led up to it was just bad, and the pacing of the pay-per-view was just horrible. Number 1, Sold Out 97, because it had to be sold out 1997. The NWO's Soul Brand pay-per-view, where it was all set up kind of old NWA style, you know, with the stairs and everything, the light up stairs, and the old graphics and stuff like that, and it was kind of cool. That was kind of a cool look. The problem is it was all slanted in the NWO's favor. So okay, they shouldn't be able to lose, and they lost a bunch of matches on the pay-per-view, which made no sense. It made no sense. It's like Eddie Guerrero beat Six in a ladder match. The Steiners beat Hall and Nash, if I remember right. And there were other stuff that happened, and it's just, the pay-per-view is just bad. I mean, Hogan ended up beating a Giant, but it's just, a lot of it was just like, I mean, it was a bad pay-per-view anyway. It was never going to be any good. It was never going to be any good, but my God, just the pacing of it and just the Miss NWO contest was horrible. It was just bad. It was proof that the NWO, even though it was a great storyline, you could not make it its own brand. It was not going to work, and it was awful. NWO Sold Out 97 was just awful. That's my list. That's my top 25 WCW pay-per-views on 3 shows. Check them out if you'd like. Check out the rest of the shows. Follow me on Twitter at RebornAgain, REBOURNE again, and I'll see you.